Oh, I just realized I forgot to paste notes, but let's see. There we go. Okay, everyone, welcome to the December 8th Contributor Experience bi-weekly meeting. I'll be your host today, Bob Killen, one of the co-chairs for SIG Contributor Experience. As a general reminder, these calls are recorded and will be posted to YouTube at some point in the future. And we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which essentially boils down to please be excellent to each other. With that, if someone is available to be a note taker, that would be super, super awesome. Cool, thank you. Please go ahead and toss your name in the notes. And with that, is anyone new to the call? Do we want to bounce through introductions?
I can say a quick hello. This is my first time on this call. I'm Xander. I just led enhancements for the 1.23 Kubernetes release. And through that, there were some things that kind of came up about how we take shadow applications and things like that I think tie really closely into contributor experience. So I wanted to kind of come and hang out here for a little bit and see what y'all work on. And yeah. Happy to be here.
Cool, thank you. Well, I should say, do we want to bounce through introductions? You've introduced yourself, or yeah, we'll just Ray, you just unmuted.
I was gonna bounce for it. Intros. All right, my name is Ray Alejandro. I was the release lead for 123, which came out yesterday. Thank you. I'm also involved in a few other things around Kubernetes. So you might see me in about the community celebration or SIG docs or SIG security or SIG release.
Cool. We'll play the hot potato game. So go ahead and pick someone else to go. All
right. How about Nigel?
What's up, y'all? I'm Nigel. I wasn't involved in the 1.23 release. I'm a community manager for an open source Kubernetes distribution, getting used to now being a part of the SIG ContribEx and helping out where I can. I'll toss it over to Abby.
Hello, I'm Abby, like Nigel mentioned. I am first time here on this call. I work in SIG docs mostly, but I'm trying to see how other SIGs are other SIG role and sort of join other meetings. And I'll kick it over to Laura. That's okay.
All right, I'm Laura. I'm a developer advocate over here at Pulumi, and I have not been on this call in a couple weeks because I keep getting sent everywhere. But yeah, I'm the one who does the community meetings that are on hold right now because of the KDEV migration. So other than that, yeah, hi. And I am gonna kick it over to, I need names, Paris.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paris. I sit on the steering committee and I am doing a ton of stuff with ContribEx and making it bigger and awesome and all of our properties managed. And I'm going to kick it to, let's see, Arnaud. Hey. Haha.
Hi, I'm sorry, it's kind of late for me. So my name is Arno. I'm the co-chair of SIG Franc. I'm also release manager associate. I used to be in ContribEx full time, but because I'm now a SIG chair, I'm really busy with my SIG. So I will pass the potato to check Chris. I think it's someone else. So I will pass to anyone interested to
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
What were we passing to me? My bad. I was having headphones issues.
Quick intro.
I'm Chris Short. I work at AWS. I have been a Kubernetes contributor for a few years now. I'm a CNCF ambassador and here to help all.
It's the hot potato game. Do you want to pick someone else?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find the participant list on my phone. Hang on. Laura, did you go?
I did, but I can help out because I know who's gone. So how about I pick someone
Thank you.
for you? There we
That
go.
would be great.
Pratish. I can't pronounce names. I'm really bad at it. So I hope I got your name right.
Yeah.
I did.
Hi,
Okay, good.
hello, folks. This is Pratish. I'm a junior year student from India, and I have been with the SIG ContribEx for quite a time now. I mostly work with the contributor site and go around triaging issues and all. So yeah, having a great time here. Next, I would like to pass on to Deba.
Hi everyone. I'm Devbrata. I'm also from India. I'm a final year student. So yeah, I have been involved with ContribEx thanks to Paris for her mentoring. And yeah, I do stuffs like some wherever there is required for volunteers, I just sign up for that. And recently, I've been working with the mentoring sub project for the Katakoda scenario, and yeah, it has been quite a fun thing. Yeah, that's about me. I will pass it on to Srikaran.
Thank you for that, Devbrata. Hi, everyone. I am Srikaran, and I am fairly new to the community. I started contributing post KubeCon North America. So as I work two jobs. So I work as a software engineer at a company called CodeMonstro, where I do a lot of backend development. And I also work at a developer advocate, as a developer advocate at a startup called Dasha AI. So I find both fields really, really interesting. And I hope I can contribute in some way or the other every week.
Well, thank you.
I'm not entirely sure who hasn't gone yet. So if someone could point out, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Oshi, and a final year engineering student from India, and working as a technical writer Internet Clouduga. So I recently started attending meetings and part to be a community. Yeah. So I hope I contribute to the community. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
I
anyone
hope
left?
there's no one left except me. I'll go then. Hello all, my name is Atharv. I've been contributing to Kubernetes around half a year now. And I'm getting involved in the ContribEx project for a few months now under as Paris is guiding few of us to getting started with the ContribEx project. So yeah, happy to be here.
Welcome. I think that's everyone. Okay.
I was missed.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, that dropped in the chat, I think.
Yeah. So hello everyone. This is Avinesh Tripathi, also a student from India. I've been into contributing Kubernetes for like 4 or 5 months. Mostly I'm learning Kubernetes and trying to look for some opportunities to contribute here. I've missed a lot of meetings of ContribEx, so I was like, okay, now I have to come back to this. So yeah, happy to be here.
Welcome. Okay. Looks like one other person hasn't gone?
There's one other person, Srikanta.
Srikanta?
Hello everyone. I'm student from India and I am just new to Kubernetes. And so I was just attending the meeting to know more about Kubernetes, and I am just learning Kubernetes. Thank you.
Cool. Welcome. Hopefully, you find this interesting, or at least get a little bit of idea of all the fun stuff that goes on here. with that, now that we are through everyone, we'll kick it off with our regular stuff, and that's events. Office hours. Paris, you have a comment here?
Yeah, mine was I just need to talk to Raw Code about taking it to CNCF versus ContribEx. I still have to do that, like meaning get us all in a group chat and talk about it.
Yeah. Thank you for dropping the link to the notes again. Yeah, and honestly, it's sort of functioning as it is. But yes, I do think going over the CNCF at this point is a good idea. Does anyone else have any comments regarding office hours? Okay, community meeting. Laura.
Still no updates. I'm finally catching up to all of the updates around the KDEV mailing list migration. So I'll be interested to hear where we are on that and where I can help. But yeah, no real updates because we are doing the KDEV migration instead. So my guess is we probably won't start this back up until January at the earliest.
Yeah, I agree with that at this point. Okay. Any comments, questions regarding that, or do we move on to contributor summits? And no worries, Josh. Okay. Contributor summits, the big thing, we actually really need to start planning KubeCon EU already. We have to put in a request for how much space we want by the end of the month.
So my big question there is, do we have the reasonable expectation that KubeCon EU will be a different situation than KubeCon North America was?
Well, I can roll a die. And
okay.
And
is that a reasonable question to ask in the first place?
No, it's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
I think the answer is it'll be very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my gut take.
So my suggestion would be, let's try to get registration up as early as possible in January, with a public decision deadline, so that like if we're deciding to not do it because of lack of registration, we'll be deciding that in early March and not later than that.
Yeah.
I mean, will we still run into the same problem of people not sure if travel's approved and whatnot? So like,
absolutely.
Yep, 100%.
I'm already running into this. I'm currently reviewing submissions for Southern California Linux Expo, which is kind of strictly a US-based conference. So people aren't even facing international travel restrictions. And speaker submissions are way down, and notably absent is anybody who works for a Fortune 100 company. Because they don't know what their travel policy is, and so they're not applying for things.
Yeah. Laura?
I was going to say, I have a feeling a lot of companies are waiting to see the fallout from reInvent in the holidays before they actually open up. But I mean, frankly, like at least down here in Austin, the AWS offices are reopening. So I think that's a good sign. Okay. They're starting to tell people that we're allowed to hold meetups there in person again, as long as you're vaccinated and masked and all that fun stuff. So I think that maybe by then we'll start seeing more travel again, but it really is a crapshoot. So, pardon my French. Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. And then look at Michigan, where like all our hospitals are full. So it's definitely kind of all over the place depending on where you are.
So I feel like, you know, I'm not against like us having it earlier. It just feels like we're gonna run into the same problem, and having it earlier isn't really gonna change that. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like having it earlier puts it on people's radars earlier to get the approvals needed. And if with me, for my company, it's better. We have started talking about KubeCon EU already, and so I think earlier is better.
Yeah.
What if we added a maybe option to the registration? That's like at least gives you.
Arno had a comment. Travel policies in EU are not really the same. Situation may be different. But yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Paris. But yeah, we did maybe I think we did a maybe once before. I know that much, and it was definitely like
Yeah.
90% were maybe.
We did a maybe for KubeCon North America because we weren't sure whether people were going to come, but I think the bigger question was people couldn't come to the main event, and people were required to have a ticket to that before they could register. And so a lot of the maybes were people who weren't sure whether their company was going to pay for that ticket. So we ended up with a whole bunch of maybes, a couple yeses, a handful of no's. Then the maybes all turned to no's. So it was a little awkward in general. I don't know though. I mean, it might be worth having the maybes to at least get a rough sense.
I wouldn't want just a generic maybe. I would want it to be specific, because the problem is with a generic maybe, you're still in the department of not knowing whether the person's coming or not.
Yeah.
It hasn't given you any information you didn't already have.
Or like maybe because not sure of travel, maybe because not sure of expenses. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
We did, I think it was like maybe like pending travel restrictions or something like that was I think the wording we used like last time.
Right. I mean, one that would give us information would be sort of pending approval to attend KubeCon, because then a month out from KubeCon, we could ask Deb to run our registration list against their registration list, and we would have a good idea of how many of those maybes were actually attending.
That's a good idea.
Or even being able to check in with the people who said maybe, if we can organize that in some way.
Have people like, please send out just reminders to please go update your status if you're going to be confirmed, yes or no.
But we're not able to target each person who said maybe and like, hey, we saw you marked maybe. Can we get an answer, please?
Oh yeah, like we have access to that list. So like, a couple months out or something, or not like, closer to the event, we could basically say, please update your status by, X date.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess for now you're trying to ballpark how many you think might attend based on how many came this time.
I would probably use KubeCon NA as a base of how many people would come. The other thing is like, I know we had even a decent amount say yes, but didn't actually show up to the event.
And I know oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying like, one thing we don't actually have is actually we could potentially ask Deb to get the attendance numbers of those that actually showed up.
For what?
Yeah.
KubeCon NA.
For the convention or for the contributor hacking day?
So the contributor hacking day. So basically just take like the reg from the contributor hacking day and the actual KubeCon reg to see, because they know if they actually showed up or not. So basically to see like how many out of the list actually showed up and use that number as sort of our base estimate for KubeCon EU.
Okay. I mean, I can give you a total number, which was 24, because we counted heads.
Okay, that works. That's not a lot.
No, that was why we canceled all of scheduled activities, because that was what we were expecting. Yeah, I mean, really what this comes down to is I'd like to know 3 or 4 weeks out rather than a week and a half out.
Yeah.
If we're going to pull it because of lack of attendance. And I'm sure that Deb would, and the Linux Foundation people would really appreciate knowing earlier, since vendors have cancellation dates. So
either no matter what, I'd still size it as a very small, maybe like 1 or 2 rooms.
Yeah. Well, and that would also be my suggestion, is let's not try to make this a crazy thing. Like maybe 1 room with scheduled activities and 1 room with unscheduled activities. And if we suddenly get a surge of registration, arrange with Deb that there's another room we can maybe annex.
Paris, you're kind of on celebration only. We still kind of need to know at least numbers for the celebration too.
Paris, were you saying that was going to be? Were you thinking that was going to be virtual or in person?
Like I'm assuming post
In
event.
person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also remember being there. There was like a not small number of people that didn't realize there was this happening and wanted to go, but hadn't registered ahead of time.
Yeah, I think like having a calendar event for it is crucial.
Well, when we can send something out to CADA, we can add calendar events to CADA after that migration. So, okay, I think so. There's just the general. Abigail.
Yeah, I just had one other thing to kind of add. SIG Docs has been talking about running a doc sprint at the KubeCon EU. So it's not necessarily an event that people would have to register for. I don't think that's how it's been done in the past, but it would be something that we'd like to get space for if we do. So I just wanted to put that on people's radar.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. We can request like a boardroom or something like that for that.
Cool.
So I think the general consensus at this point is, as far as potential, room reservation, and we can, potentially cancel later on, go for one or two rooms, and try and get reg out as early as possible with a maybe option for like pending travel restrictions or something like that. I think does that summarize everything? That's the big takeaways.
My only question is, were we doing like multiple maybes or just the maybe for travel restriction or like company approval or,
I think we should have multiple maybes. I mean, just to get a better idea of what folks are facing out there.
Sorry, letter A. Okay, well, we can brainstorm on potential other maybe options because we have time for the reg form. It's just the space reservation that we need to get in like sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we had twice as many people show up, the size of the room that was there last year was really good, I feel like.
With all the rounds?
Yeah. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, that was a good room to have unstructured stuff because we actually had a couple of separate groups go in there, show up for impromptu hacking sessions, and we were far enough apart that there really was no spillover.
Okay.
So have like one room like that and one smaller sort of lecture structured room for scheduled content, or workshop structured room, I think, for scheduled content. And somewhere where potentially we could, I don't know, do we even want to worry about potentially annexing another room?
If a small boardroom, this is a break. Yeah, I don't know. I think we go for, again, the at least one decent sized room, one smaller room as like the request.
Yeah. I mean, convention centers being what they are, likely the rooms that they're going to have are going to actually be way bigger than what we need.
Yeah. Okay. And then an additional room for SIG docs, but a boardroom would suffice, just preferably near wherever the rest of the summit is. Are there any other comments at this point about the Computer Summit EU next year? Okay. Next up on the list is just the contributor celebration next week. Please, social boost. If you haven't registered, please register. It'll be similar to last year in that we're using Discord as our main platform. I think most of the stuff is just sort of chugging along at this point. Josh, can you think of anything that or Chris, anyone else that's on the the contributor celebration call? Is there anything that we need sort of from the greater ContribEx audience?
Mostly just awareness. I still feel like most folks, even in the community, are not necessarily aware that it's going to happen, or if they are aware that it's going to happen, it's a vague awareness and not they haven't looked at the page to see what the activities are.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Oh, and also, pray for a video setup, because we are once again going to be doing a lot of this on new video configurations.
And we will we can follow up in the summit call on Monday. I would say one thing, like if you want to, like, it's sort of structured for impromptu activities. So if you want to like pop in and do a like if you want to play Halo or something like that, there's a channel for LFG. So I've gotten lots of people asking me about Halo. But if you want to run something, you want to organize something, please go ahead and just, like, when you do hop into the Discord, pop it in, and there'll definitely be other people interested in playing. The other, I would say, sorry.
Yeah, just a reminder that we discussed on sending the comms on Slack channels, which we didn't send. I guess that would be a great thing to do for the awareness.
Yep.
We did do that, so like we could put in the agenda and someone could do it by this week. Then it's good.
That's it. Like, let's try and knock that out when the next big comms announcement goes out with like more of the schedule updated. So hopefully either later today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just for general awareness, I did put a link to Deba's blog post about the celebration in Cube Weekly this week. So
cool. That'll
be going out later today or tomorrow, I think. Or is it Friday? I forget. It'll be out this week.
My one concern with the Cube Weekly thing is the audience there is largely end users.
Is that really a concern?
And our audience for the celebration is more contributors, but
yes, I don't disagree there. I hear people talking about, like, we need to get the word out, so that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I've been putting it in LWKD every week.
Okay.
Right.
But but I think a lot of people, I'm on another channel with one of my co-organizers for contributor celebration stuff. And I think a lot of people are in the boat that we're in, where we kind of feel like somehow we have 2 months of work to do in the 2.5 weeks of actual work time we have in December.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of people are just not paying attention to community comms at all.
Yep.
So it might be worth a single line in Cube Weekly for that reason.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay.
Just suitably phrased to indicate that you have to be a contributor to attend. Since
no, you don't have to be a contributor to attend, but, like, they'll preferably involved.
They might be bored.
In the upstream or sort of audience around it. We did actually get some people that were, like, contributing to other projects last year that then jumped on to then start helping with Kubernetes a bit. So, like, let's say cloud native adjacent. So yeah, Cube Weekly might be good.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other, I think, big fault from this is, like, we'll probably don't know how 2023 is going to be like, but we should probably start actually, like, writing down more of the stuff regarding how the contributor celebrations are organized and run. Last year it was, kind of thrown together because we didn't think we'd be doing another one, and this year we're doing another one. So I do think it's time that we start, documenting more of this stuff.
I agree.
That's more of a follow-up to the team involved in it in general.
Can I also
Paris?
challenge you with I would like to challenge you with something, though. I would like to challenge you with the thought of not doing a contributor celebration if we resume contributor summits.
Oh, I
I
agree
feel
there.
like I feel like, you know, I don't think that 2 events is good for like the health of this group. So
I
like I
completely
feel like
agree.
I feel like our priority should be on a lot of like the actual how contributors are touching our systems versus necessarily us throwing 2 events like every other quarter. So
No, on like if the contributor summits return to normal, yeah, I'm, you know, I would say punt the celebration. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts regarding the contributor celebration or summits in general? Okay. Paris, you have a comment on needing to jump over to.
I'm gonna have to leave in a minute, and I wanted to see
Okay.
if we could jump to community management stuff.
Go for it.
So there's a lot of stuff going on in this area, and I need approvals, LGTMs, reviews, etc. Obviously, one of the major ones is the Kubernetes dev mailing list migration. I'm actually going to share my screen right now because I want to show y'all some of the stuff that we've got going on and where the help is really wanted. Hold on one sec. Or actually, can you pass me the Tato? The share Tato?
You are now a
there we go.
co-host.
Yes, awesome. All right, Safari, share. All right. So proposal, we've got right here. So for context for folks, right now we are living off of a Google group, which is Kubernetes-dev at googlegroups.com. This is where all of our upstream news, calendars, documentation, whatever is shared with. We are taking that to a Kubernetes domain. So it would be named here at kubernetes.io. With a timeline that's set in here right now, which needs approval. And then also, we also need to talk about the naming convention on this call right now and get some general consensus, which would be taken to a mailing list for further decisions. The naming convention stuff right now, to give everybody some context, as I mentioned, it's currently Kubernetes-dev. Many folks have brought up that we should A, either shorten that, or B, make it more inclusive, or C, both. And so right now, what we've got going on is what you see on this issue. We can either shorten it to dev at kubernetes.io, or possibly make it more inclusive to talk about the what and not the who, and make it upstream at kubernetes.io. But just some things that we need to be aware of is one, contributors at kubernetes.io is already taken, and community at kubernetes.io is already taken. We could technically take over the community at, but that would cause a lot of cleanup that we would need to do. And
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
At least another month. Oh, I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, you got cut off. I want to just veto any idea of taking over a community at, simply because that alias is currently kind of used for spam. And there's no way we could stop all the spam if we converted it to a group.
Yep. That's why I said I also agree that that is a bad idea as well. So that's just a nugget of FYI. Does anybody have comments or suggestions for the name, or actually have any comments about the process or the migration in general? Chris, I saw your hand.
I was just going to say, you know, I'm cool with either one of these, but it sounds like there's a translation issue with upstream. But like dev at kubernetes.io, I feel like
is a great name, right? Like, it doesn't get simpler than that.
Do you think that includes
Just
all
out
of
of
our
curiosity, would
contributors?
that,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just about to ask the same question Paris did, just because I'm thinking about people who maybe don't identify as a dev. They might feel like they're not included in that email. I know that's what we use now. It's just,
I feel like we've done a very good job of saying contributors include other people in this community specifically, that we could do that. I don't know if that's the best idea, but I feel like
I would
we
also
could.
say it's kind of a normal convention across a lot of the cloud native projects and projects elsewhere, that if you only have one mailing list, it's often called project name -dev. And so I bet there's a lot of people who don't speak English as a first language, who don't even know what the term dev is short for, who will nevertheless recognize it as, you know, this is the community mailing list.
Upstream.
I think it's a convention. Whereas I'll tell you from being at Red Hat, which I think was probably using the term upstream before anybody else, I've run into issues occasionally with some of our events in non-English speaking countries where we've had to use other words because the term upstream was very confusing to people.
I would like to challenge that. Is there? Yeah,
there's
is there
a lot
any
of
articles that I
confusion.
could read? Is there? I would like to read articles on that.
People are very confused about what is upstream and what is downstream in this community. I will just say that just based off my interactions with folks that are not contributors.
I mean, but that's, I feel like, isn't that a moment to educate? That upstream means closest to the maintainers and downstream means closest to your distro.
I would argue that this is the list that everybody has to join. Is not the time to be educating people.
I guess the thing I think of is how often I had to explain where that came from, upstream versus downstream, to people who maybe aren't embedded in some kind of engineering process or had some history. Like I used to have that a ton with the docs teams that I would work with, because we use triangular workflows on Git, and trying to explain why the convention was upstream was always something to take a while. And I don't mind teaching it. It's more of a, will people feel like this is something they can join? Will people feel like this is something that makes sense? I do understand the concept of dev is the familiar thing that we all use anyway. Elsewhere, okay, if that's like kind of a convention across all of the open source communities, I could see that.
My other thing, like with trying to think of another term, is our other terms are used by the go-to terms are used by other things. The like community would be my first choice. That are contributors, but both of those are sort of already taken.
Yeah, I think community is not a good choice no matter what, because community is humongous. I mean, community is the millions of people that use Kubernetes.
So honestly, like right now, my gut's telling me to use dev.
All right, so I'll put this to a vote on the mailing list. And does anybody have any other options or suggestions?
Oh, builders.
Builders?
Okay. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name that might be an
That's fine.
alternative.
I mean,
but
yeah, and
I can
honestly,
rate. I can
feel
rate
like
it in. I can propose
yeah,
it
okay.
here.
All right.
I got it open.
Okay.
I like
All right, so that's one. And then, so that's the one thing we need to agree on. The next thing we need to agree on is this timeline, specifically the flip, which I'm thinking somewhere around January 3rd or 2nd. The 2nd is a Sunday, the 3rd is a Monday. Obviously I put the 10th in there because I got scared. But honestly, this whole process is so much easier than what it looks like. I promise you, as far as like the creation of a list and adding, people to it and things like that. I mean, the whole entire process in and itself is going to take a few hours tops. So much of this is communication and getting other people on board. So we need to approve the timeline. So the
Oh.
timeline and the naming. Go
One
ahead.
thing on the timeline, you do not need to make it as SC2 or anything like that. We just PR case.io. Just as a note in there.
Which one?
For December 10th, Paris to make group from SC2 account. It is now just open a PR.
But I thought we have to manually add all of the people and that we're not PRing the people in.
No, but you don't have to do that from the SC account. You can do that from any account that's has manager access over the future mailing list.
So who's the manager of this future list?
Whoever we list in the PR. There'll be a separate group of people that are listed as basically the moderators, and those moderators will all have access to do that.
So then when do we add the people?
I would basically do it at the cutover, because I'm sure someone will sign up. Like if we did it like today, I'm sure someone will sign up between now and January 3rd or 10th. But we can create the group and stub it out whenever, as well as like establishing the moderators and everything. It's just the syncing of the groups and turning off posting access to the current KDev.
Right, and I've got turning off posting access for them right here, which is the flip.
Yep.
So this is turning off access to post and new membership.
Yep.
Yep. So, but okay, again, when do we add when are the people getting added and how do they get added? I thought that
Whenever the PR is open.
But I have to go
merged.
into Google. I have to go into Google Workspace though from there, right?
Nope. I can show you about this like later. But like, yeah, it's essentially just creating let me see, Kubernetes / groups.
So
here, yeah. And if you go take a look at the first one is community and people that are listed as the owners or managers. And as soon as the PR is merged, the group will be created and those people will be granted access to be able to do the import and everything.
Okay, but again, my question isn't that. My question is about the 6,000 members that we're going to add to the new group.
Any moderator that is over the current KDev mailing list can export that group, and anyone listed in the group that's created here as an owner or moderator can import that list. It does not need to be done by SC3.
It doesn't need to be done by what?
It does not have to be done by an SC account.
Right, I understand that. I was just going to do it from my SC account because I have the most control over that myself. That's why I was doing it that way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, we're talking about the same thing. Yeah, I'm doing it from my SC account because I have the most control over the workspace from that account. So that's why I was doing it from that account. But then again, when and where am I adding the 6,000 members? I'm adding that manually through the Google Workspace, correct?
Yes, January 3rd or 10th.
That is
the one
correct.
thing you do not want to create the group manually because the bot will reconcile it and remove the group. That's the one thing. So it needs to be done through the PR.
Correct. Yes. Yep. We're on the same page.
Okay.
Yep. So does everybody approve the timeline that's here as it stands?
If you're comfortable with it, I am.
And do people, what do people prefer for the date flip? I actually looked at the calendar today and the Sunday is January 2nd. And I actually prefer Sunday for this so that it doesn't really mess up everybody's work first work day of the new year, which is the 3rd.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm a fan of getting ahead of it sooner rather than later, just because once the comms start coming out regarding the 1.24 release, we will want to make sure all of that is going to the new mailing list. We don't want, one post being on the previous one and another one being on the new one.
All right. And then this is where I need this is going to be done today, like within the next few hours, but I would love for folks to look at this. These are all the comms that are going out, and please suggest that they're not necessarily in sentences yet, but they're in bullets as far as the things that we have to hit. I'll obviously form them into cohesive sentences later on, but the actual deadlines and stuff is when these comms need to go out, including the banner that goes on top of the Google group, as well as any other sunset details. This will be done today so that we can get this one out today, which is our intentions to Kubernetes dev. So yeah, this is our intentions and our timeline, and giving people at least a 3+ week heads up, 3.5 week heads up, damn near a month. So
one thing, any message that goes to, oh, you have it as the leads list in there too. I would just make sure that's going to both lists, because a lot of people are now sort of tuned out from KDev.
Oh, got that on here. So that's the comms. And then the other thing that we need help with for folks on the line that would like to chip in is the stuff that goes live. It's the post migration before go live. So this is the the fuzziness in between the when we get out the horn that says that we're live. But we need to do a search for all of the documentation that indicates Kubernetes-dev, and make a PR to change all of that stuff to whatever that new address is. And then also help any leads that might be still straggling for changing their documents over. And then of course, what else am I missing? So we can start talking about this. Yeah.
Is the documentation change something we're leaning on the SIGs to do, or us?
The chairs, and with us as like backups.
Cool.
It's mostly K community where it has to be updated anyway.
Right. That's what I figured.
Yep. And Josh, I'm ready to lead this effort in charge of this.
Yeah,
And
we'll
I'm ready
want
to
like
do
a
it.
whole volunteer team for that, because we're probably going to end up sending everybody who owns a document like 6 reminders through the year before most things are migrated.
Well, I mean, so then the other thing is I do want to remind people is Kubernetes dev isn't getting deleted. So if you're still in that group, you're still going to have access to all these documents. The only people that might be affected by a 404, the only people are going to be brand new contributors to the community. And if that's the case, that's the flag to the chair that they need to add that document to the new address. So I don't see any major fires. The major fires I see are more things like meeting agendas. So like going through SIG XAML and making sure all of the documents that are listed in SIG XAML are, have the new ownership, I think is super important. But yeah, no, listing all of that stuff and, helping us discover and being a bug hunter with us is going to be pretty great. That's it with KDev stuff.
We are now down to like
time.
it's okay. It's the next biggest important thing. We're down to 7 minutes. So instead of going through the rest of the agenda, I first want to call, does anyone have anything they want to talk about or should be talked about now?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to take up all this meeting, y'all. I have so much stuff going on. I also need people to look at the new PR for the community management lead/lead moderator. And then that's it for me. I wanted to talk about that, but since we don't have time, I need folks to look at the PR. and also provide some LGTMs for Markey as well. So that's it.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else that they want to go over?
I have one thing about the contributor category. The one PR needs to be merged for the scenario to work. The webhook has been merged, and like I
Which
guess
PR?
it's under the mentoring section, and I put it under the contributor category setup. So it's
here.
Let me put it.
Okay. I will take a look at that later.
Yeah.
I just
Otherwise,
had a
I'll just chip in with Josh and take a look.
Okay.
So why are we not taking the name KDev itself and going for something like dev@kubernetes.io or things like that? Why are we not going with kdev@kubernetes.io?
Because Kubernetes is the K in KDev.
Now, for renaming it, why are we not going with KDev, the name itself?
Kubernetes.
Yeah, it'd be Kubernetes at dev.
KDev@kubernetes.io, yeah. Or it would be.
I think people just complained that it was too long. So, because like I'm writing it in chat right now, and it's a pretty long email address.
It's kind of redundant too, since it's Kubernetes at Kubernetes.
Or we could do this.
Can I suggest tabling the naming discussion for
Yeah.
Slack or something?
Yes.
Because it could literally take up the rest of this meeting.
So yeah, we have 4 minutes left. Is there any other things that people really want to talk about?
I have a doubt in the contributor side. I'm pasting the issue here. I just needed some pointers on this issue. Would love to work on this.
A lot of this, so yeah, we can follow up on this. Some of this stuff is like all the devil docs need to be updated before they can be imported. Community membership should be over there. CEPS is a work in process. SIG list is there.
What about the API convention?
No, and that should not go over in its current state. That's one of the follow-up items from the tech writers that we have, is to go through a lot of that documentation so it could be imported over there correctly. And that is also blocked on I put a help wanted thing in the contributor site section for anyone that knows Go and preferably some regex and bash experience to help with the way the content there is ingested. It's had several people pick it up and drop it, but it would help with instead of doing my awful bash stuff.
Actually, at present, I am involved with that, and Barun are working on that. Just 2 weeks before, ours gave up on that, and we are collaborating with him. And yeah, it's just I just took it up in the last week.
Okay, cool. We have 2 minutes left. I guess the only other thing is Easy CLA is delayed. We're going to try and get that up and going again in the new year. The LF has said that there's a hard cutoff date, but I want it to actually work before we cut off to it. So we'll see what happens. And with that, if there were other items that people wanted to talk about, please drop them in Slack, or take a look at some of the other notes that are listed in there. Are you talking about like the Paris, your comments are regarding like the owner's survey and things like that?
I was going to say I've got an owner survey in there that also needs to be reviewed. And then also I just posted the contributor celebration stuff inside of Kubernetes contributors and Slack, and we don't post enough in there at all, hardly anyway. So I think we should just post a lot of stuff in there in general. So if folks want to talk about their upstream adventures and that channel, it's 9,000 people, go for it.
Okay. With that, we are at time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and we will pick up in Slack. Later, all.